Hello there, Brick Fanatics. A wild Pokemon partnership has appeared for the LEGO Group in what will no doubt cause a critical hit to all of our wallets. Yes, in a continuation of their can't beat 'em, join 'em strategy towards their major competitor video games, the LEGO Group is now partnering with the biggest, the most successful, the most financially lucrative video game franchise of all time. Recently, when that big chunky brick-built Mario Kart set was revealed, we talked about how of the top 5 best-selling games on the Nintendo Switch, all except Smash Brothers have now been adapted into LEGO form. What we didn't say was that right underneath that top 5, spots 6 and 7 on that best-selling list are both taken by Pokemon. That, though, is a drop in the bucket compared to all of the money that Pokemon has made. In a list of the highest grossing media franchises of all time, not just video games, but everything, Pokemon comes out on top. And not only on top, but almost $40 billion in revenue more than its closest competitor, Mickey Mouse and Friends, despite Mickey Mouse having been around for almost 100 years at this point. Suffice to say, Pokemon makes an awful lot of money, especially in merchandising, and that is why the LEGO Group wants to partner with them. Now, for fans of LEGO and for Pokemon, this is all very exciting because it means that we get something in LEGO form that many people have been wanting for a very long time. Now, we have only been given the scantest of teasers from the LEGO Group thus far, so it is difficult to know exactly what might be coming from this partnership, but we can make some educated guesses about what we might well be seeing in the near future. Quite aside from anything else, the LEGO Group has an awful lot of competitor analysis that they can draw on because they are not the first toy company to get the construction toy license for Pokemon. Yes, for many years now, Mega Bloks has been making LEGO-compatible construction toys featuring all of our favourite Pokemon. These things come in a variety of different sizes. They don't necessarily feel completely LEGO in the choice of elements and the parts that go into these things, and so it will be very interesting to see the LEGO ones and compare them with what Mega Bloks has done already. Certainly, while the core concept of Pokemon construction toys might be similar, it feels like there are many things that the LEGO Group can do that no other company does in quite the same way that we could be getting this time around. The ideal scenario, given the broad spectrum of Pokemon fans that are out there, is probably a selection of minifigure scale playsets and then also something big and meaty and chunky and brick built. So we could have recognizable human Pokemon trainers from, say, the video games and the anime, characters that people will recognize, and then their favorite Pokemon alongside them. We could get an Ash Ketchum, we could get Misty and Brock if you want to go old school, or we could get some of the more modern characters from the current anime series. Characters like Lyco and Roy. I absolutely definitely didn't have to just look those names up. The hope is, though, that the LEGO Group will have learned from their experiences with other Nintendo franchises and the way that they've been adapted into LEGO form in order to give us something that will really appease everybody in a way that maybe we haven't necessarily seen from a lot of these Nintendo partnerships in the past. Pokemon exists in this weird kind of side space to Nintendo. It is officially run by the Pokemon Company, but Nintendo has an awful lot of say in things as well. Sometimes there's a little bit of a clash in there, which has come out in the news recently with Nintendo of America people not necessarily seeing eye to eye with the Pokemon Company, but ultimately the two companies are working together to make Pokemon what it is. Now, with the pure Nintendo licenses that the LEGO Group has adapted thus far, we've never had something yet that has appealed to absolutely everybody, and in all cases someone has come away saying, well, that's not really for me. Either you've got horrible LEGO Furby Mario, or you've got a Zelda set which is so prohibitively expensive that most younger people can't buy in for it, or you get something like Animal Crossing, which admittedly I think is probably the best case scenario for this, because they can be played with but can also be put on display. It's just that they're maybe not quite as meaty as some display sets that we've had from other Nintendo themes. That's a relatively minor quibble considering all of these other licenses. I do still feel like Animal Crossing is the best Nintendo license that we have in LEGO form at the moment. So ideally the Pokemon sets could cover a range of different ages, and we could have younger fans really enjoying the relatively smaller sets and then older fans getting to build something really detailed and cool that they can put on display. This is the kind of thing that LEGO fans have been doing with Pokemon for a very long time, creating an awful lot of mocks and custom builds, so it is not stretching the imagination whatsoever to think of what that could potentially look like. Something that feels like a no-brainer would be some kind of collectible series, not unlike the collectible Mario figures. Small little brick-built Pokemon, perhaps a little bit more minifigure scale than the Mega Bloks offerings, something where you can collect the entire set, because Pokemon is, after all, mostly about collecting stuff. The only challenge is they can't do all 1,025 current Pokemon. They're going to have to limit the number of those that go into any collectible series. For that first wave of sets, no matter what those sets actually look like, the LEGO Group is going to have to be very, very picky in selecting which Pokemon get the brick-built treatment first. There are two ways that they could go about this. Way number one would be appealing primarily to the nostalgia crowd, the solution that I would call the Pokemon Go experience. When Pokemon Go launched, instead of having all of the modern Pokemon, it just stuck to the first 150. That is kind of the classic list of Pokemon. It's the ones that draw in the biggest possible crowd because they're the ones that people are the most familiar with, older fans as well as younger fans. Alternatively, the LEGO Group could go the modern route and begin with the starters from the current Generation 9 of Pokemon games, Scarlet and Violet. That's Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley. And then alongside that you get some of the Gen 1 classics as well. You get your Pikachu and your Eevee and your Meowth and your Charizard. That would probably be the best case scenario because it covers the most possible people. You get people who are invested in the current generation of Pokemon games, and you get people who have nostalgic fondness for the original generation of Pokemon games. When it comes to a big, detailed, brick-built 18+ set, which would be absolutely fantastic to have, the logical choice there is probably Charizard, actually. Possibly Pikachu as well. We could get a nice Pikachu, but a really nice, detailed, really big Charizard would sit very well on the shelf of any slightly older LEGO fan who's been collecting LEGO and Pokemon for a while and wants something to show off their favourite big, meaty starter evolution from the original Pokemon games. I say that as someone who always chose Bulbasaur. I'm aware that most people like Charizard the best. That's fine, I'm okay with that. I do feel like this is potentially going to be a challenge for the Pokemon Company. It's a fun challenge, it's one that I think a lot of people are going to be very excited for, but it is going to be interesting to see how they approach this, just because there's such a wealth of opportunity with this particular license partner. As said, there's over 1,000 Pokemon at this point. There are countless additional characters that could be included, so many locations, so many locales, so many games to reference. There's so much stuff here that one would hope that this license goes for years and years and years. Given the state of Pokemon at the moment, given how popular, how enduringly popular this brand is, I think that that is probably a safe bet. And so it's going to be genuinely exciting to see what we get, so long as what we get is going to be affordable for people who want little ones, is going to be minifigure friendly for those who just want to integrate it into what they've already got in LEGO form, and as long as there is something bigger and meatier and chunkier that appeals to an older fan as well as somebody who's relatively fresh to Pokemon. This feels like it might well be the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and as we all know, friendship is the whole point of Pokemon, that and forcing animals to fight against their will. But what do you think of the LEGO Group's partnership with the Pokemon Company? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're there, do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and the thumbs up button. Also make sure that if you're going to be purchasing any LEGO in the near future from the LEGO website, that you do it using the affiliate link which is down in the description or the QR code that is currently on screen. They take you straight to the LEGO website. We get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. It doesn't cost you a penny extra, but it helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Do make sure that you also go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things LEGO, including all of the stuff that you could possibly want about this new Pokemon partnership, and make sure that you sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything LEGO related ever again. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.